We are live.
All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Flex and Fiber. It's season 1, episode 2, bodybuilding competition, the aftermath.
Yes. So we are, like Lesley said, we are the Flex and Fiber podcast. We lift and we eat plants. So, what are we talking about today? The aftermath after bodybuilding competition. If some of you may not know that Lesley and I, we dabble in bodybuilding. We right now you couldn't even tell because that's what we're talking about today, the aftermath. For me anyway, I feel like I look as normal as as the next person on the street. But so Lesley had two competitions, and Lesley's first competition ever, first debut, won her pro card because she's just that awesome. Me, I already did two myself. Leslie's the total of two. Lesley has done total of two. I've done a total of two, but I still don't have my pro card, so I'm still working towards it. So we're fresh and brand new in this level of competition. However, our competition was when, Lesley? It was in March, mid-March.
It was May 17th.
May.
Yeah, I think it's
Mid. Yes, 17th. So we're approaching the 8-week mark. We're just about there. So it's 2 months after our last competition. I am proud to say I came in first place for women over 50, and so excited. And I came in second place, Lesley, for my pro card. So I was just kind of, and the girl who won, she was just phenomenal. I have nothing terrible to say about her, but that just kind of lit a fire under me, Lesley. I'm like, I gotta go and get my pro card. So the plan is to compete again in March. Meanwhile, let's start this conversation off, shall we?
we shall. Well, let's start first with our Mythbusters. So every episode, we will start our show off with a plant-based myth that is we have come to find out that is not true, but we hear it all the time. So today is bodybuilding is healthy.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I've already known a few things, but I've seen a lot of things and have experienced some things that I would not. This is not for the faint of heart. This sport, it's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of things that's included, everything from mental health to physical health to the health of our organs, everything in between is affected. And if you don't have the proper support, if you don't have the proper coaching, if you don't have the proper mental mindset, um, you can really fall into a dark hole with this on so many levels. You want to start. I have a few things written down because they're so important for us to discuss. I didn't want to forget anything. So you could start if you want, or
Sure. So I don't have anything written down. I'm just freestyling, but I am amongst a lot of my friends the healthiest person they know, and it went against a lot of my values, morals, all of that for my day to day. But I feel like to put it in just a nutshell is if something is not sustainable, it's probably not something that you should be doing that is considered healthy, because health is and should be sustainable. So that's number one of that. That I kind of thought of immediately off the top of my head.
oh, I agree with you 158%. Health, anything healthy should be sustainable. And
Hmm.
when we say that, like, people kind of look at us and like, oh my goodness, you look amazing. Yeah, a lot of this was manipulated, right? And I'm gonna say, Lesley, that I keep forgetting to call you Coach Lesley because that's what you are. You know what I'm saying? Um, I I feel like up until maybe the last month of prepping for the competition, I was more or less healthy, right? So we're both whole food plant-based vegans, Coach Lesley and I. And I know I kept within my boundaries, and my coach kept within my boundaries and my value system as far as the foods that were included in my meal plan. However, I was eating the same foods every single day. Maybe a change here, maybe a change there. Every couple of weeks, our coach would take a look at our bodies, how we were coming along, and take everything into account: fatigue, lack of energy, am I building muscle at the right pace? She would take all those things into consideration and adjust our meal plan. However, for the most part, we were eating the same foods over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like whole food plant-based nutrition 101 is you want to eat a variety of things every day. Your food should not look the same from week to week. Maybe this week I really kind of like focus on the same 6 basic vegetables, and next week I kind of switch them out and incorporate some more, or whatever it is. But eating the same thing over and over again every day in, day out, week in, week out for 3 or 4 months is not healthy, because our microbiome, our body needs nutrients from all types of different sources and different foods. So that in and of itself is it can lead to nutrition deficiencies or nutrient deficient. You can end up being nutrient deficient, I want to say. So that's one thing, just to piggyback off of what you said, Coach Lesley. And another thing that I have written down is excessive exercise and poor recovery.
Right.
Now, again, I feel like I know I did good. Our coach gave me 2 days of recovery, and she stressed sleep. In those cases, I was just like, okay, this is really, really good. But at the same time, I was so busy building, and my cardiovascular exercise really fell way to the wayside, where I'm not going to say anything is in balance, but I was doing a lot more cardiovascular exercise, where walking up a hill, by the end of the competition, walking up a hill was taking my breath away. And I run. I run races. I don't run as many marathons as Coach Lesley does, but I'm a runner. So all of this exercise every day, lifting heavy, and not giving ourselves the proper time to recover. Never mind the recovery days, but what about the recovery exercises?
Mm-hmm.
The agility work, the flexibility work, right? The massage, the foam rolling. None of that was emphasized, and I feel like that was something that was lacking. So Coach Lesley, when I go back into prepping again, I'm going to make time for those things. I have to, because it was so in the forefront of my mind, and I can see myself slipping. For somebody that's already not that flexible as she wants to be, I found myself stiffer than I'd ever been in my entire life. I felt like a board, and that also affected my what I did on stage, right? My posing, right? It affected my posing on stage. So I was just like, oh no, this is not it. So that's another thing. Do you have anything else that you would like to add to that list?
Yeah. So, with what you said about the day in, day out eating the same thing, we not only ate the same thing, but we weren't eating enough to sustain that. So we're not eating enough, and we're not getting variety, and we're doing all this working out to sculpt our bodies, and we're not recovering, for one, because our bodies aren't able to, and then 2, we're not fueling enough. For one, I'm an eater. Like, I love to eat. It's like a hobby of mine. I just love it. And I was like, oh, week 1 starving. And every time I would eat, I was so hungry, and I was just not used to that. So, I mean, I dropped very quickly. So, and even losing the weight that quickly is not really like great. But you don't have enough of the, nutrients, and even still, like, your hormones are all out of whack. I personally lost my my period for my menstrual cycle for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously that's a literal red flag.
Oh yeah.
So, it was just, again, the glam and the process of it all. That's one thing, because you probably are like, why the heck did you guys do this? But you know, there are some good sides of it. It's just this is the flip side of the ugly, where people don't typically see. They just see your medals, your body, your glutes, and all the things that look amazing on stage, and then they don't consider the hard work it takes to during this process of being hungry for months on end, eating the same thing for months on end, working out with very little fuel and feeling just weak and getting weaker. None of those things are healthy. So
it's definitely a myth, right? So interestingly enough, you had a different experience than I did. So I started out, she was trying to increase my weight, increase my how do you call it? We were trying to get my weight up just so that I can build more muscle. You came in the game, you were very, very muscular. I came in, I was a little bit skinnier than I needed to be. So we were fattening me up just so that I can get my muscles, so I can get more muscles and work my muscles. And in the end, it worked out really, really nicely. For the first time, I was able to develop a booty. Yeah. But I kept eating, and I was just like, I'm not hungry, I'm full. But we just kept having to, every few hours or so, it was feeding time, even though I wasn't hungry. Now, she was very concerned with whether or not I was feeling hungry. And whenever I was, she was like, let me know when you start feeling hungry. Because when I told her, okay, finally, I'm starting to feel hungry, more food came. So our experience was very different. When you were like, Carmelle, I'm so hungry, I'm like, roly-poly. I'm like, my belly's getting big and so is my muscles. But I was not hungry. And where that is a problem is our ghrelin. What's those two hormones?
Ghrelin and leptin.
Leptin. Yeah. In my mind, I kept thinking lectin. Lectin is not what I'm thinking. Lectin is not the word. It's the ghrelin and the leptin. Those are our satiety and our hunger hormones. And because I'm consistently eating and my body's not giving the signal that it's even hungry, I'm messing with those two hormones. And down the line, it could come into problems. Now, Lesley, I think you and I were at a complete advantage because we know so much about nutrition as it was. Right. So we knew to pretty much really pay attention to our leptin and ghrelin. We knew to pay attention to my body sending me signals that I'm not responding to right now. We knew what was happening as it was happening. So we didn't go into it blindly thinking that this is now the normal way of life for us. We knew that when you weren't getting your period, this is something that we were going to have to actively and intentionally work towards. I knew that coming from a place of food and sugar addiction, if you guys don't know, that's where I come from, and that's what I coach. I coach people on how to beat those sugar cravings and sugar addictive and food addictive qualities about how we eat and how we view food, our relationship with food. So I knew that this might compromise my relationship with food after I've worked so hard to get in the right place. Our celebratory cupcake at the end, Coach Lesley was like, Carmelle, is this going to trigger you? I said, girl, no, I'm at a really, really good place right now. And I was, and I still am. But those cravings came back, Lesley, a little bit louder than I would like to have. Am I still on the side of feeling good with where I am? Yeah, I'm in a really good, healthy place when it comes to my sugar cravings and food cravings. But had I not known that that's what was going to be happening with our diet, and I would have definitely crept back into a hole someplace that I would not been able to crawl out from. That and the level of dehydration we had to go through that last week. Right before we hit the stage again, that part is temporary. And we went in completely knowing that this is not the way a human body should be functioning, or we should not be doing this. However, bodybuilding prioritizes the aesthetics and not necessarily the healthy aspects of sustainability. Right. So those are a couple of the reasons why Bodybuilders are not necessarily walking around. They are not the epitome of health. They are not the epitome of health. It's all completely manipulated by science, which I think is phenomenal, how we are able to manipulate what we look like based on what science tells us, based on how the body moves, how
Mhm.
food behaves in our bodies. I think it's a beautiful art. It's a sport, but it should be temporary. So um after our show in May, we both decided it's time for us to take some time off.
Right.
Yeah, we needed to get some kind of a homeostasis back in our body.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good segue into our topic for today,
Yeah.
which is again all about bodybuilding. Um, but we're talking about the aftermath. So after the show, what happens? And that's all of our topics today. We're going to deep dive into both of our experiences with bodybuilding and just what to expect after, and things that surprised us, things that we were kind of expecting, but it was a time.
It was a time for sure. You want to start?
Sure. So what happens after the stage? Anytime you finish a competition or a show, it's kind of like those, or even a good book, that after show blues that you get, and like that high that you get from doing the show or the competition, and then afterwards it's like, oh. So there's a couple different parts. There's like the emotional side, there's like habits that you do, and then there's like the actual body competition or composition. So sometimes there's like sadness because you're like, oh, it's over. Sometimes you have anxiety. I had some anxiety after, around just like little things like gaining weight, which I was like, oh, I'll be totally fine. I am excited about gaining weight. But whenever you actually see those lines like fading away and you looking different than you have, it's very emotional. Certain habits I kind of fell into was just like wanting to eat everything right then and there, because again, like I said before, I was an eater, and I was just always, I was starving the entire time. So trying to get back into a routine of eating intuitively or like whenever I'm hungry, but that was basically impossible because my hunger hormones were at war. I mean,
Yeah.
they were just out of control. I don't even know if they were in the country, meaning my body, because I would eat and be full and satiated, but I would still, my body would be like, just eat more, because you need to eat more. And I wouldn't be hungry. And then I would like eat so much that I would be uncomfortable. And I just had a really hard time controlling myself to stop eating, because for those, 4 months, I was always hungry. No matter what I did, I would eat my meals and then I was still hungry. So then whenever I was actually satiated, my body was not telling me, all right, you got to stop now. It was just like, just keep eating, just keep eating. So that's one thing. And then just like my body has changed a lot. I have gained, I mean, I would say a significant amount of weight, but that's just because in my opinion, I was so small. But it's still coming back. I'm getting muscle, which is good. And, yeah, so those were the major things after, as far as emotionally, physically, and just the mental aspect and the mental toll it took on me, and hormonally. I have started my menstrual cycle again, which is great because it was gone for about 3 months, and I think whenever that happened, it could be just my mind just thinking this, but I personally felt like I was more in control. Like my hunger hormones, I felt like they were starting to regulate during that time. I felt like I was good, as far as I wasn't so exhausted. I was sleeping again, because during bodybuilding prep, I would wake up at 1:30 in the morning and literally not go back to sleep. I could not sleep a full night at all. It was like clockwork. 1:30, I'm up. So my sleeping's back to normal. I don't wake up in the middle of the night. But those first probably like 4 weeks were
The first 4 weeks after the competition?
right. Yes, they were very strange.
Yeah. Yeah. Life after the competition was strange because we were now thrusted back into our normal life, food, and meanwhile, our bodies still said something very, very different. So those first few weeks were very interesting. So again, like I feel like my story was different. Like I know during the competition you were always hungry, and then after the competition you were like, I can't wait to put some weight back on, and get my period back. Me, I got my period back really quickly within 3 weeks, but I didn't know. I'm so confused about my body because I'm perimenopausal. So my body just skips periods at this point anyway. So I wasn't sure what was happening, if I got my period back or if it was just kind of like saying hello again for the first time in 3 or 4 months. And because as a perimenopausal woman, my hormones are already fluctuating, already going crazy. And so by the time that I crossed the stage and now going back into life, I'm like, I can't wait to have my salads again. I'm a big salad girl. I just love salads. And for the duration of the prep, I didn't have that many greens because we were so busy eating protein to build muscle up. But it took me, I slow, like the scale slowly went back up for me. And I was actually savoring every bit of it because I come from a place, like I said, of food and sugar addiction. I was never obese, not even close to it. However, I am a twin and I was always considered the fat twin. So I grew up with this idea that I always needed to be skinny. And so I've told Lesley this before, at my slimmest, I'm happiest. And I feel good in my body. And I resort back to that child that always wanted to be slim, but was never as slim as her sister. And as a twin, you're constantly compared. So I've been compared to another human being since out the womb, my sister and I. And so it was fun. I finally looked the way I want to look, and competition brings it out even more. I'm a woman who loves muscles. So not only am I slim the way I've always wanted myself to be, because everybody told me I was fat, but I had muscles too. Oh, please. Yes. This is everything that I want and need. But so the scale did climb back up, and I knew that it was okay. And I resigned myself to it, and didn't even resign myself to it because that has a negative connotation to it. I just knew that this was healthy for me. However, just like you, I kind of look at the scale and I'm like, it's another quarter pound. Like it was like really, to the point where now I'm like, well, the muscle definition is there if I do something like this, and and my gut is setting back in, and this is the gut that I was really struggling to get rid of when I was working out for my first competition last year. And I was like, my arms look good, my legs look decent, but this gut. And finally, for peak week, dehydration is what really gave me my 6-pack, or I should say 2-pack. But yeah, there is an emotional aspect to it. And it's interesting what you say about food, because I knew that as a woman my age, what the scale said is not healthy and it's not sustainable. So a part of me said, Carmelle, you need to gain the weight back. So I'm like feeding myself. Another part of me says, oh no, Carmelle, you like being slim. Let me hold back. So there's that whole dysmorphia thing that's happening. There's that mental chatter that's happening. There's what the scale is saying. There's the food that I want to eat that I've been depriving myself of for the last 6 months. So all of those things come into play. And I had to mentally, Coach Lesley, I had to mentally prepare myself for all of that was going to happen. So again, I feel like had I not had the foundation that I had with giving up sugar, curbing my cravings, being whole food, plant-based, knowing knowing about nutrition, knowing what foods do in my body, positive in either a positive aspect or a negative aspect, knowing those things and going into prep and coming out of prep after the competition, those things were my saving grace. Because right now I can honestly say, even though yes, I have this little pouch, I'm happy with the way I look. I'm happy with the way I feel. My dietary choices are still quite optimal. I feel good all the way around. I feel good knowing that I'm still putting quality foods in my mouth, in my belly, in my body. And but I do like muscles. So now, aside from working on my agility, I'm going to be incorporating a lot more weights. I'm going to go back to the heavier weight training that I was doing before. So, and it makes me happy. I am happy. I'm like, we love to exercise, and a lot of women don't. So I love that I'm part of that group of people. So that's the aftermath. It's the good, the bad, the ugly, and it's all three.
Yeah, there definitely is all three. I mean, there's things you look forward to, but even as prepared as we are or were, there's still things that surprise you that you don't feel is gonna bother you, and then it does. So you can. I feel like we were as prepared as we like could have been, but it's like anything. You can be as prepared as you want, and there's always going to be some sort of, you know,
and we're human. Yeah, twists and turns, and we're human. Right. We're human beings. Like, no matter what the science and what the textbooks say, our feelings are our feelings, right? The way we see ourselves is the way we see ourselves. Yep. And like you said, remember you mentioned like all the accolades, the stage day, and we look so pretty, our makeup is done, our hair is done, we're in these beautiful suits, and we're crossing the stage, and we're literally being judged on how good our bodies look. So we feel like, I am at the top of my game, I look beautiful, I have muscles, leanness, everybody around me is glamorous, the earrings, like we are all dolled up. You can't help but feel amazing. And then all that is said and done, we're in baggy clothes again. Nobody knows that we competed yesterday and won medals. Like, and we're just
nobody.
Yeah. So life creeps back in very quickly, very quickly. And if we don't intentionally like keep ourselves up on that pedestal, we will go down.
Right.
And I know I did. I posted, I bragged about it because heck, I earned it. I earned the right to brag.
Right.
But yeah, and just bask in it. And even talking about it now lights me up. I do love the feeling. And it is something that I want to do again, and I will do again. And again, each time is a learning experience. And the more I know about myself and how I go into it and come out of it, the better it'll be for me.
Yeah, that's the thing too. If you do plan to compete again or run again or whatever your sport is, then we call it the improvement season. That is one of the most important parts of it, because when you have a better improvement season, and reverse diet and reverse out of all of the, bodybuilding prep escapades, it goes so much better the next time around. Like, we'll probably have an easier time during our next prep because of the things that we did during this reverse season.
Right. So Lesley, tell the good folks what you are doing during your improvement season.
Well, I am doing at least one CrossFit competition. We're going to go down to Tampa for the Tampa Bay Games. They've had that a couple years now, and it's at the Florida Fairgrounds in Tampa. And in the fall, I'll be running the Marine Corps Marathon. It's their 50th anniversary, and I'll be going down to DC to run that marathon with a bunch of people from Pittsburgh. Actually, there's a ton of people that I know that are going to be running, and I'm going to be doing starting a fall race training program at my gym that just includes a running plan and working out and all the fun stuff that I love to do.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
What about you, Coach?
What about me? So I am actually in training for a 5K. While you're training for your marathon, I'm training for a 5K. But
5K are no joke.
you're no
Seriously,
joke.
I
The,
hate that
the,
distance.
the shorter the race, the harder. You're not even lying. But I am training for a 5K. So every year I go to Ohio and I run this one race and I always win this race. And there have been years where I didn't win and walked away like proud but feeling a kind of way about it. So at this point especially coming off of this this bodybuilding prep where I didn't get a chance to run and improve on my running skills, I've actually gone down, and like coming back and running 3 miles was a challenge for me. So now I want to do this 5K and I want to be a rock star at it. So I am training for a 5K. And what else am I doing? I feel like there's something else that I'm forgetting to mention. I think that's about it. I have a few speaking engagements that I want to do that I want to look my dopest for.
Yeah,
So
for
I'm,
sure.
so I'm definitely going to keep in shape, and I have a reputation to uphold, and I like muscles. So all the things. So I'm training for life, Lesley. I'm
Yeah,
training for life.
me too. And it's, as I always say, it's a fit girl summer.
It's a fit girl summer all the time.
Always.
All the time.
And
Always.
you know what I realized that we didn't do? This is
But
probably my fault, but we didn't introduce ourselves. So
we didn't introduce
let's
ourselves.
wait until the end.
Right. People are probably like, who are these two?
Yeah.
That is so good. But well, when you say that, we're pretty much at the end of our conversation
we are.
anyway.
But we can still introduce ourselves.
We still can. So you go first, Coach Lesley.
Well, I'm Coach Lesley. I am a performance coach, a nutrition coach, a CrossFit athlete, marathon runner, and OCB pro bikini bodybuilder.
I love that. Amazing. Congratulations. Those are not easy things. And this is why I like this chick, Coach Lesley. I'm kind of scared of her. However, I am Coach Carmelle. I am first and foremost a nutrition coach. And like I said before, I coach people on how to quiet their sugar and food cravings. And even I work with people who consider themselves addicted to food and sugar and whatever chronic. I also help them guide. I also guide them in really planning on implementing a whole food plant-based lifestyle in order to combat those cravings and those addictions, as well as whatever chronic conditions that come along with it, like chronic fatigue and even type 2 diabetes. And also, I never forget about the fitness aspect of it, sleep aspect, all around everything that's good for our health, especially in my stage of life, which is the perimenopause, menopausal stage. So I work with women one-on-one with regards to that as well. I don't have I'm a personal trainer. Yes, I was telling Coach Lesley the other day that I was even a spin trainer at one point. I don't do people still do that? They do, right? And
Yes.
spinning is still a thing.
Yes.
I feel like it's so far removed from everything that I do. And so I'm also a runner. And I'm the women's captain of my running team. So I'm definitely proud about that. And the other day I mentioned to you, I'm a pre and postnatal exercise specialist. But yeah.
Oh, and we gotta tell the viewers about our newest
certification.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lead.
So we are certified in plant-based nutrition and coaching through the Plant Protocol. It is a Black-owned organization by Lisa A. Smith. She is, oh goodness, a podcaster. She's a nutrition coach. She's a businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur. She's everything.
She's all the things, and she's absolutely incredible. And it was through her and that business certification course that Lesley and I took, that Coach Lesley and I took, that we actually met each other, and we just bonded immediately and became sisters. And here we are to talk to you good people about what we've learned through our lives, what we learned through the Plant Protocol Business Certification, Whole Food Plant-Based Business Certification coaching program. And like we started, like what we said when we started this this part of our conversation is that we are newly certified whole food plant-based coaches.
So it's exciting. That
is
whole
exciting.
food plant-based world.
Yeah, how about it? When I first became, well, we can have a whole conversation about that, but I did not think I'd be here with this. But I am so happy that this is where it's taken me. I am so thrilled with my choices as being a whole food plant-based vegan athlete.
You should be proud.
Yeah, as should you be, Coach Lesley. So with that, what food? So every week, what we want to do is we want to highlight a certain food, and we want to challenge you all to, there she goes.
Got it.
You got it. And we want to challenge you all to try it if you haven't already. And if you did have, so this is TVP, and TVP actually stands for textured vegetable protein. And I have one that's made from pea protein. Yours is probably, is that soy?
Yes, it's soy.
Oh, that's soy. So basically what they've done is it is a processed food, but they've taken the natural product because it's only one ingredient. So that one ingredient that Lesley has is soy. The one ingredient TVP that I have is pea protein. That's the one ingredient. They've been able to make it into like, what do you call that? What's that texture?
It honestly kind of looks like granola.
Yeah. Like, and it's dry, it's in dry form.
It's dehydrated.
It's dehydrated. So you reconstitute it in water. And as you're doing that, you can put the herbs and spices and season it however way you want, make it into taco meat, make it into whatever you want. And that's where the beauty of it lies. It soaks in all the herbs and spices and seasonings that you put on it, and it tastes amazing. It has amazing texture. And I got to tell you, Coach Lesley, I had a wellness weekend retreat last weekend. I had 8 women that we just went through it all for the whole weekend. It was such a magical experience. But one day I pulled this out and I seasoned it with curry seasoning, authentic curry seasonings. And everybody was like, what is this? Wow. And I'm like, it's textured pea protein. What? And that's how I was when I first heard it. I'm like, what the heck is that TVP? But what is that? It was a hit. It was an absolute hit. So if you are not privy to TVP, acquaint yourselves, please. You could look it up. Where did you find yours?
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods. I bought mine first time from Amazon. I found it also, I want to say I found it at BJ's. I want to say that, but it might have been Amazon. But either which way, they're all over the place. They're even in my local supermarket. They don't call it TVP. I forgot what they called it. It was like dry soy balls or something. Like they called it something very, very literal. And I was just like, oh, wow, that's TVP.
Yeah.
So it might even be at your local supermarket and you don't even know it. And listen, reconstitute it. You put some hot water on it or boil it, do it over the stovetop or on your stovetop. Seasons, however way you want it, and have a taco night. Make it as part of your spaghetti and quote unquote meat sauce, because it's a meat substitute. It has that texture when you chew it and everything. It can be absolutely delicious. So we challenge you to try that this week and let us know in the comments that you tried it. Lesley, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to post something on our page here with me having served that this past weekend.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also you can do sweet dishes as well with this. I put it as a topping for granola. I actually usually mix it into my granola.
Does it have that chewy texture when you do that? Or
no, it just goes right in. Nice. And then I also will put it in my oatmeal whenever I do stovetop oatmeal, and I'll just mix it in, and it blends very well with the oatmeal, and it just adds a lot of protein. That's kind of why we do it. It's very low in fat and carb. It's pretty low in carbs too, but
Okay.
the protein is the highest macronutrient in it, and that's why we kind of started to dabble in it. But it's also so versatile, and I think that's the one of the main things. It's versatile and high in protein. Like, you can just sprinkle it on things, or you can rehydrate it and use it as a meat substitute or mixed in with pretty much anything. So
Nice.
I would definitely recommend giving it a try. Let us know in the comments what you did with it. If you have questions about where to find it, or any recipes, just let us know.
Yeah. Coach Lesley, next time you make one of your smoothies or yogurt treats or whatever, just take a quick picture and send it to me, and I'll post it to
Okay.
say this is TVP and the way Coach Lesley has it, and I'll do the same.
I'm probably gonna actually. There's hardly any in here. I'm probably gonna use this for my granola.
Okay.
I've been on a granola kick, so that's my latest.
You're gonna have to give us a granola recipe, because all the granola on the supermarket shelves are loaded with sugar. It's quite annoying.
Yeah.
So you share some of your favorite granola recipes. I'm gonna get into some granola too, because
Yeah.
I fell in love with granola during our prep. I was able to find one that was low in sugar.
Yeah.
But I don't have to spend all that money when I could just take my oats and do something here. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna start dabbling into some recipes, and I'll let you all know too.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Well, I think that's the episode. Thanks for tuning in with us today, and we'll be back next week.
Yes, we'll be back. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It would really, really help us out. We're just starting, and we need your support. We need to feel the love. So definitely subscribe. This is the Flex and Fiber podcast. I'm Coach Carmelle, and
I'm Coach Lesley.
And together we are Flex and Fiber. We lift and we eat plants, baby. And that's it. So ciao for now, and see you next time. Thanks
See
for
you next
watching.
time.